Hello everyone. I'm very happy to be here and I want to thank the art directors for inviting me. If we have to show brands the way, first we need to know where are we going, and to know that we first need to know where we are. I don't have many answers. What I have is too many questions. So in this talk, that is what I'm gonna do. Ask questions. I just came back from a solo sailing journey around the world. 4 years ago, to celebrate the 25th anniversary of my studio, ruiz+company, I decided to temporarily close and make this trip. The idea was to disconnect, to reset, to break my routine and shake my existence, to get a fresh perspective of the world, and forget the work and the profession for a while. Why solo? Well, because sailing solo forces you to be always present. You live every second. It's pure intensity. I came back only a month ago and now I'm starting my studio again. It has been a journey full of extraordinary experiences. When they called me to propose this talk, I said that I wasn't the most appropriate person, as I had been disconnected. But they said that precisely that view from the distance could be interesting. Well, that's what I'm gonna try. There are two things that have deeply moved me in this journey, and I want to share with you. Nature and time. Nature has put me in my place. It is not easy to explain because it's all about emotions, but I'm gonna try. Nature gave me two lessons, humility and respect. I have changed my perception about nature. I have felt its power, its pure energy, in constant movement, in constant transformation. When you spend days and days living surrounded by nature, you notice how mistaken we are to get away from it. We are conscious that we are part of nature, and getting away from it does not benefit us because we lose our perspective about reality. Nature is not something that's just there and we need to protect. Nature is life, is power, it's the energy. Life has around 3,500 million years. Humans, since the sapien, 300,000. That means that we are an insignificant accident in the history of the planet. We should not lose this perspective. We should think about it often, I think. We have taken over it as if it were ours, demarcating it, dividing it, creating borders, and causing wars to conquer these borders. And if that were not enough, we constantly harm it. We should be aware that by attacking nature, we only attack ourselves. Nature doesn't need us. It can go on without us at any moment. I'm not telling you to be good kids. I'm telling you to not be stupid. Why? Well, because respecting nature is respecting life. And respecting life is respecting ourselves. To respect the others, we have to start respecting ourselves. Otherwise, everything is vain, fake, forced. We have to place ourselves in the right dimension. If we can't place ourselves in the right dimension and the context of nature, of the universe, we won't get it right. We won't get anything right because the basis of our behavior comes from an absolutely distorted and mistaken perception of ourselves. And this affects everything, our behavior, our interpretation of things, and our relationships with the others, our happiness. I believe that as human species, we need a long path of humility. From humility, respect will come. First, to ourselves. It is basic to respect ourselves, to respect the others, to respect nature. And without respect, understanding is not possible. The second thing that has shocked me is related to time. Traveling on a sailing boat is traveling at human speed. Let me make a comparison. The days that pass at sea, since the last country you left until you reach the next one, are a neutral space, a phase of transition. You have the privilege of progressively erasing the first to slowly start assimilating the second. You don't arrive at an airport or a bus terminal or a train station packed with people. Most of the time, you don't even arrive at a port. You do it as it has always been done, by sea, after a few days of journey, anchoring in front of a beach or in a bay. It's only you arriving. You don't arrive in a flock of unknown people. It's your journey. You've done it with enough of time between seeing land for the first time and stepping foot on it to fill your head with ideas, to make up your mind and to be really conscious that you have arrived and where you have arrived. Usually, the first signs that land is near are the flight of some birds or the low clouds in the distance. The coast starts to appear at the prow, and you slowly start to identify valleys and mountains. And there is this moment where scents invade you. You smell the earth, the fragrance of the plants, and the perfume of flowers. Landscape just comes in through your nose. In some islands in the Pacific, this is so intense that the smell stays linked to that place forever in your memory. While you get closer, the coast becomes immense, and you just get smaller every second. You start discovering reefs, the seabed gets closer, and the swell of the waves change. And you have to be alert and concentrate on the chart, because it's a delicate moment. And you plan maneuvers, you analyze the surrounding, you look for the right place, you strike the sails, and you drop the anchor. You breathe deeply, and this feeling of fulfillment invades your body. You've done it again. You've arrived. Arrival by sea to a new country after sailing for days on end, surrounded by waves, pushed only by the wind, allows you to adjust your perception about distance. You are aware that you are traveling. You live the journey, and your brain has time to assimilate it. Okay, let's compare to a flight now. Today, we can go to Australia from Europe in a few hours. We go from the center of a city to the center of another one without really taking any journey. We don't experience a physical approach. We are inside a limited, closed, and artificial space, surrounded by other people. Is that good? It is bad? I don't know. And that's not the point. But I know that in this case, we have cancelled the experience of the trip. And with it, the huge quantity of stimulus that our brain would have provided us. We would have inevitably changed our perception of the place that we arrived. This brings me to talk about a virus. A virus way more dangerous, in my opinion, than corona. Because it slowly invades our daily lives without us realizing. Or what is worse, we realize it, but we don't see as something bad. We accept it by adapting our way of communicating, our way of thinking. I'm talking about immediacy. The digital revolution brings extraordinary things, but it also brings, more than ever, immediacy. It seems that we are looking for immediate satisfaction, and once we have it, we forget it right away and move on. The other day, talking to a friend of mine, he told me that today clients don't ask you for one picture. To illustrate a topic, they need like 20 pictures at once. Because pictures are now swiped with your finger full speed. In the time period that we used to look one image, we now look at 20. The problem is that looking and seeing are not the same thing. I believe we look too much, but we see nothing. Technology should not make us stupid. Let's not lose control. I don't know about you, but I have a lot of questions. What sense does it make to look at 20 pictures in 20 seconds? Where does this take us? Multitasking, Twitter, express talks, absurd deadlines, packed agendas, always running, always looking at the clock. Why are we running so much? Does anyone have the answer? Our brain is not able to truly process anything if we are jumping around from one thing to the other all day long. Is that what we want? Are we in a hurry to reach the grave? Then, why are we in a rush? Are we ready to accept this way towards the superficial, the banal, without reflecting, without going to the street and burning out a couple of buses? Maybe we believe that by doing more stuff, we experience more stuff, that we make the most of our time. Truth is that it's just the opposite. And I think that we are in danger of going through life simply grazing its surface, without really living it. I think we should claim back the time that things need to be properly done. Get back depth, get back the thinking, or we will end up being a numb society. In no time, AI will be completely implemented. This means big changes, big opportunities, but also an absolute control over the consumer. And let's not forget that we are also consumers. Let's not be carried away without asking questions, without questioning everything. We shouldn't be dragged by routines. We should not be content. We should not accept everything. We should be attentive and don't lose control. If anyone has the tool to change things, to influence, that's us, the creatives. Meaning that we should not only use creativity for our job, but also for life. To correct, to open more interesting paths, to change the things that we don't like, to influence the others beyond our job. But creativity has two enemies, the comfort zone and the routine. They both take us to conformity. Routine numbs our neurons. Without challenges, life is routine, and it becomes something absurd, something meaningless. It makes us hollow. I have one last question. Who's going to lead, creativity or technology? We're in danger of getting carried away, of giving up control to technology, jumping around from one screen to the other without thinking, hypnotized. But let's be calm. We are in crisis. We have seen now this crisis has shaken our consciousness. Let's take advantage of it. So let me go back to my trip now. The changes of a scenery are a stimulus for our brain. With the current crisis, uncertainty has settled in our lives, and fears appear. The problem of fears is that they stop us and obsess us. This trip has taught me that fear is a sensible advice to get ready. Not to shut ourselves away, but to take the first step. As soon as we start accepting uncertainty, when we understand that uncertainty is part of life, our fears slowly disappear and serenity settles in. It's about accepting it. And it is not necessary to go around the world to notice of this. So let's take advantage of this change of scenario that has taken place in the whole world. Now that we are alert, now that we are receptive to move, to do all that we yearn for, to improve, to put on hold our fears, and to reach our own dreams. That is the reason why we should now more than ever stop and think. Thank you very much.